What's up, guys? It's your host, Noel Gallardo, and we're back with Mbsn. Now, today we're going to talk about something that you may think you know a lot about, but maybe you don't know as much as you think you do. Here's Nicole Getz.
Hi guys, today we're going to talk about a topic that's embarrassing for most, but since it's healthy and natural, there's nothing wrong with talking about it. If you haven't guessed it yet, we're going to talk about sex education. Anatomy, sex myths, and most importantly, how to care for your body. Because of recent changes in our government, there's a higher level of concern in regards to contraceptives and medical care. So the first topic we wanted to discuss is Planned Parenthood. According to US News, despite finding no evidence of illegal activity, Republicans are full steam ahead on attempts to defund Planned Parenthood. And for those trying to defund Planned Parenthood, they assert that living human viable babies are being murdered at Planned Parenthood. But Planned Parenthood isn't only for abortions. Planned Parenthood provides necessary reproductive health care and contraceptives to everyone, even if you don't have insurance. They also offer free or affordable testing and treatment for STDs and Plan B pills, which, by the way, prevent pregnancies by keeping the egg from being fertilized by the sperm, and are not like an abortion since the child has not formed yet. Also, if you guys haven't heard, certain states are attempting to pass their own laws on abortion. The Ohio legislature passed a measure, and if signed by the governor, it'll outlaw abortions when physicians could detect a fetal heartbeat. Of the issues that come with this, the main one is that if a woman has an irregular period, they might not know at 6 weeks, and the Ohio measure won't account for this. They will also not make exceptions for incest or rape. And with this topic, many bring up that it's a woman's body and a woman's choice. So with that, let's talk about women's bodies. So we'll talk about the vagina. If you do decide to shave, you should know to avoid using anything scented when you're cleaning down there. And when shaving, you should always shave in the direction of the hairs instead of against. Shaving against the direction of the hairs can cause irritation in ingrown hairs. If you have any types of bumps or sores, don't freak out. That doesn't necessarily mean you have an STD. Just make sure to regularly change razors and do not spray perfume on your crotch. It's important to remember that your vagina in no way is supposed to smell like daisies. Your vagina has a distinct normal smell, but if the smell changes to something unpleasant, don't feel embarrassed to see a doctor. Doctors are there to help you and find out what's wrong, not judge you. To point out also, the porn industry has caused many females to be insecure about how their lips look. But porn stars and models alter their lips to make them smaller, so yours are not too big. But it takes two to tango. So now let's talk about the penis. There's a diagram here. So first of all, penis length is usually something that makes guys feel ashamed, but the average penis length is 5.6 inches, and that doesn't mean it's bad if you don't have this length or longer. Everybody is a different body, and the most important thing, to love your body and yourself. The next subject, sex myths. For one, having sex on your period does not eliminate chances of you getting pregnant. Sperm can live up to 3 to 5 days inside a girl's body, so there's still a chance of getting pregnant. Secondly, the vagina does not become permanently loose. It can stretch and shrink however it wants and go right back to normal size. If your vagina becomes wider during sex, it just means you're fully aroused. Third is pre-cum, or pre-seminal fluid, happens when you're aroused. It's a clear, generally odorless and tasteless liquid that's released by the Cowper's gland, which by itself can't get you pregnant, but if the guy is masturbated or came before the pre-cum came out, then there could be leftover sperm that can get you pregnant if you don't use protection. However, the pre-cum with sperm disappears once the guy pees. Lastly, instead of saying some bullshit like abstinence is the best form of birth control, we're going to be realistic and say always use a condom. Condoms can be expensive, but Planned Parenthood or even the thrift store called Out of the Closet, which is right here in Miami, gives free testing and best of all, free condoms. If you decide to use birth control, you should know that even though it protects against pregnancy, it does not protect against STDs, so choose wisely. So that's all we have today for sex education. If you have questions, concerns, personal problems relating to the subject, and you need advice, feel free to message us on Instagram at Miami Beach Student News. Bye.
So hopefully Nicole taught you guys something that you didn't know. And it's good to know things about your body, so always keep on learning. And here's something that you might not know as well. It's who Trump appointed to his cabinet. Here's Cami with a run-through on who he appointed and what that could mean for us since we're all living under the same nation.
Hey guys, welcome to the second installment of Chit Chat with Cami Chat. I'm Cami, and let's get right into it. Trump's cabinet. It's a bit complex, so let's start simple. His confirmed appointments that do not require Senate confirmation. You've got Michael T. Flynn, he'll be National Security Advisor, Reince Priebus as Chief of Staff, and Steve Bannon for Chief Strategist. General Flynn has been outspoken about his view of the threat posed by ISIS and was a very strong supporter of Trump during his campaign. Reince Priebus has served as director of the RNC since 2011. Despite Trump's firm anti-establishment campaign strategy, Priebus has the backing of establishment Republicans like House Speaker Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader. He could help Trump negotiate with Congress. Bannon was executive chair of Breitbart News, a far-right news, opinion, and commentary website which, according to Philip Elliott and Zeke Miller of Time magazine, has pushed racist, sexist, xenophobic, and anti-Semitic material into the vein of the alternative right. There really is a lot of dirt on Steve Bannon, far too much for me to cover in one video. Yikes. So these next proposed appointments need Senate approval, and here they are. And bear with me because there are a few. Andrew F. Putzer for Labor Secretary, the chief executive of CKE Restaurants and a donor to Trump's campaign. He has criticized the Obama administration's labor policies. Linda McMahon for Small Business Administration, also one of Trump's donors, and one of his biggest donors at that. Fun fact, she used to be chief executive of WWE. Scott Pruitt for EPA Administrator, which stinks based on the fact that he's a close ally of the fossil fuel industry. It's 2016, we know the ice caps are melting and the world is deteriorating due to global warming and fossil fuels more and more each day. An appointment like this is so terrifying for the future of the environment, especially since Trump tweeted that global warming is a hoax perpetrated by China and has also vowed to dismantle the EPA in almost every form. When you value money and business over the very fate of the planet, irreparable damages are likely to be made. John F. Kelly for Homeland Security Secretary. If Trump actually delivers on his promise of widespread deportations and building a wall, this is the guy that has to carry him out. James Mattis for Defense Secretary. He is now retired and has been a critic of the Obama administration. The incoming secretary will shape the fight against ISIS while also overseeing a military that is struggling to put in 2 Obama initiatives, integrating women into combat roles and allowing transgender people to serve openly. Both could be rolled back, 2 initiatives vital for the advancement of progress in the military. Steve Mnuchin as Treasury Secretary. Mnuchin has ties to Hollywood, but just like Trump, no experience. Elaine L. Chao as Transportation Secretary. Tom Price for Health and Human Services Secretary. He's led the opposition to the Affordable Care Act. This secretary will help Trump achieve one of his key campaign promises, repealing Obamacare. Although Trump has already backtracked a bit and mentioned that he will keep parts of Obamacare in place. Cecile Richards, the president of Planned Parenthood, said that Mr. Price poses a grave threat to women's health and that as health secretary, he could take women back decades if he has his way. She said millions of women could be cut off from Planned Parenthood's preventative health services, could lose access to free birth control under the Affordable Care Act, and could again be charged more than men for the same health insurance. Wilbur Ross as Commerce Secretary. Mr. Ross said the United States must free itself from the bondage of bad trade agreements and has advocated threats to impose steep tariffs on China. Betsy DeVos as Education Secretary. Trump has said he wants to drastically shrink the Education Department and shift responsibilities for curriculum research, development, and education aid to state and local governments. Basically, different cities and towns would be able to decide their curriculum. Some could stop teaching evolution and things based on facts, since curriculum would be up to them. The whole point of having a national education department is so all the states can be at a similar level regarding education. You want to make sure kids in the Hamptons can read just as well as kids from Detroit. Otherwise, what's the point of being called the United States of America if no one is on the same page of some metaphorical book the country is writing? She's also a fierce proponent of school vouchers that would allow students to attend private schools with public funding. The New York Times said, "It is hard to find anyone more passionate about the idea of steering public dollars away from traditional public schools than Betsy DeVos." The Washington Post said that her policy positions on school vouchers appear to be motivated by her Christian faith. It's hard to completely explain the school voucher system, but I really do encourage you guys to read up on it, as Trump's presidency is around the corner and the system really could be put in place. Aside from DeVos' involvement in education, her and her family combined have given around $2 million to anti-LGBTQ+ groups. She also headed an effort to amend Michigan's state constitution to ban same-sex marriage in Michigan and gave $200,000 to it. Voters approved that amendment in 2004, but it was overturned by the Supreme Court ruling last year. Nikki R. Haley for UN Ambassador. If appointed, she'll be the primary face of America to the world. Ben Carson for Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Like Trump, Carson has never had a government position before. Even though he was raised by his mother, who sometimes turned to the government for food assistance, he stressed in his autobiography that individual effort, not government programs, was the key to overcoming poverty. Mike Pompeo for CIA Director. Pompeo is a member of the House Intelligence Committee and was a critic of Hillary Clinton during the congressional investigation into the 2012 attack on the American diplomatic compound in Benghazi. And last, but certainly one of the scariest, Jeff Sessions for Attorney General. The nation's top law enforcement official will have the authority for carrying out Trump's law and order platform. For example, something he's already talked about, the racist stop and frisk program. The nominee can change how civil rights laws are enforced, which is scary when Jeff Sessions is a proponent for this job because his nomination for a federal judgeship in 1986 was rejected because of racially charged comments and actions. So he wasn't fit to be a judge because of racist things he said and did, but now he might get to be Attorney General? Nice. He's also a strong proponent of strict immigration enforcement, reduced spending, and tough on crime measures. So how do I feel about all these appointments? Frankly, they're super scary. As Trump's staff and foremost advisors, these people will always be looking out for the interest of the country through their eyes and beliefs. Based on the information I've told you, those interests really worry me for the future of minority groups in America. But always remember, guys, no matter the person in power, there will always be the other side of Washington striving for your interests. With the Republican House, Senate, and possibly Supreme Court, the outlook might be grim for a few of us, but always hold on to your hope for the power of love trumping hate. And remember, there ain't no power like the power of the people, and the power of the people won't stop. Bye.
So thank you so much for tuning into another week of Mbsn. We really do appreciate it. And we want you guys to give us your feedback, and we want you to tell us what you think. Now, leave a like and a comment maybe if you want to tell us something. And follow us on social media. We have Instagram and we have Facebook. All right, I want you guys to have a great week.